Reparations. It's a topic that always seems to arise within political debate, never to be avoided. Racial tension over the atrocities of the past haunts the modern political stage, yet never seems to be resolved.
Our ancestors helped build this country.
African Americans, black people, whatever you want to label us this time, we're on an island of destitute, despair, amongst the sea of abundance.
True liberation starts with money.
It's like another carrot on the stick, sort of like student payback loans, you could say, with emotional appeal always taking the forefront before taking into consideration humanity's complicated history of violence and power. Hi, I'm Steve Inman with Resist the Mainstream. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with the latest videos. Well, Douglas Murray went further into this debate with Piers Morgan and a panel of guests, where the conversation takes an insightful spin on the current narrative.
The problem is we've forgotten how to be genuinely proud of our great countries, both America and the United Kingdom, two of the greatest countries in the world. It's almost like every day now, somebody somewhere, normally on the left, the woke left, is queuing up to find a reason to hate the countries and their histories.
Well, it's a kind of grievance competition. Your guest earlier just tried to engage in it. I don't know what hurt she believes she's had from slavery. All of this was addressed 2 centuries ago. Everything has consequences. All history has consequences and ramifications. But, you know, if we were to play this fairly, we would at least look at all of the countries around the world that engaged in the slave trade who are simply not interested in any form of reparations. The Ottoman Empire, all the Arab countries who not just traded far more slaves than across the Atlantic, but castrated all the men so that there wouldn't be any more African slaves after them. They worked them to the bone. I see no interest across Africa in paying reparations for selling their brother and sister Africans into slavery or for working them to the bone to the present day. There is slavery across Africa today. In fact, there are more slaves in the world today than there were at the height of the transatlantic slave trade. So some of us are simply a bit bored of hearing people ripping at closed wounds and then crying about their hurt or their presumed hurt, because everybody could do this. 1 million Europeans were stolen by North Africans over the course of decades of the North African Barbary pirate slave trade. Where would you end if you did that? The answer is you couldn't end, because nobody is alive who has actually suffered the hurt, and nobody is alive who did the wrong. And I'd make one other point, if I may. It's always the countries that people want to come to who are put through this struggle session.
Ironically, it always seems to be people of success, celebrities, elitists that seem to complain the most about a topic that will never ever be resolved in the eyes of some people. If we go by their logic, we would all be guilty of one aggression or another, regardless of our connection to the past, which puts us right back at square one.
Britain, like America and France, are the most desired destinations for migrants worldwide and have been for centuries. Why is that? It's not because we're racist, it's because we're better. It's because we're good. It's because when we see racism, we actually call it out and recognize it as a sin. Try finding that across Africa. Try finding that across the Middle East or in China. Nobody would hear. So what we have is a situation where the more virtuous countries are presented as the worst countries. It's sick, and most of us are tired of it.
The reality of the situation is we should take pride in the social strides we've made to correct the errors of our collective past.
I am so sorry that Douglas is bored by the pain that has come from
That's not what he said.
Through slavery.
He didn't say. But what you're doing there, yeah, but hang on, Paula. Paula, you're being very disingenuous. That's not what he said.
I am.
The viewers aren't stupid. They know exactly what he said. He's not saying he's bored by the pain. He's saying, and I think it's a perfectly valid point, the pain that people who are alive today are claiming they're suffering for what happened 200 or 300 years is not a real pain. They're not the ones who suffered what was going on 200 or 300 years ago.
So in terms of justice for all, I mean, I think we'd all agree that there should be justice.
Well, I'm not suffering from when the Normans invaded this country. I'm not suffering from what my ancestors went through.
I noticed that I've not been allowed to respond.
Or from the Romans. In other words, where do you take this? I mean, should I now be feeling pain from what the Romans did to this country?
In terms of slavery, I can take it to 2015, when the slave owners were compensated by the government. So I can take it to that extent.
Where does your personal pain come?
And I can say to you that I don't think that apologising is a bad thing. I think that apologising for a wrong is a good thing. I think that the Dutch royal family have done a fantastic thing in acknowledging what has gone wrong.
Okay, I hear you, but look,
society.
I honestly think it'll make no difference at all.
But to drag us further down the line of blame will lead to zero satisfaction from any given group of people, especially when the debate turns to emotional attacks and calls for guilt.
True liberation starts with money.
Rather than understanding history and moving forward. Again, I'm Steve Inman with Resist the Mainstream. Don't forget to hit the subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest videos. Till next time, we'll see you then. Take care.